Hello, ladies. Good morning. It's still morning. It's before 12 noon here, Eastern Standard Time. And I am actually headed back to the home office. I'm leaving my mother's house after helping her install her Ring doorbell. These are the many things that adult children must do. These are the tasks that adult children must perform. If you're a good adult daughter. And I wanted to talk with you a little bit on my drive back about the one trait that good men don't want. They are completely turned off by this one trait. I wrote about this in my book, Do Well, A Feminine Woman's Guide to Relationship Success. And I listed several traits, but this was most definitely one of them. And it was in the chapter, Things That You Are Doing That Are Turning Your Man Off. Okay? And yes, ladies, there are things that we do that turn our man off. Sorry, but I'm not. Okay? So we're going to talk about the one trait that good men, they don't want any part of. And if you're a man looking at this, please let me know in the comments, am I right? Am I onto something? Is this truth? Is this gospel? So, ladies, we are emotional creatures by nature, right? We know this. And a lot of it has to do with hormones. So this is what I explained to men, that it's our hormones and the cyclical way that our hormones fluctuate that create the level of emotionality. And so depending on the woman, depending on how those hormones flow up and down, right? So some women have a pretty straightforward 21 or 28 day cycle. It's pretty consistent. Those women don't normally suffer from PMDD or PMS, that's pretty consistent. I prided myself on kind of being one of those women. I was on the pill for probably 20 plus years. And for the most part, I did not suffer from PMDD. I did not suffer from PMS. I did not suffer from postpartum depression. Like, even when I wasn't on the pill, my cycle was still pretty regular, pretty consistent. It was rare that I had like high highs and low lows. That was very rare. So I considered myself blessed that I was one of those women that did not suffer from those conditions and, wasn't like a raging, person around my time of the month. That just wasn't my experience. However, I do express to men that a big part of a woman's emotionality is due to hormone fluctuation. And see, men don't have this. Men have testosterone as their predominant hormone, and that testosterone level is going to shoot up, and then it's going to remain steady until you hit, now it's much earlier. It used to be 50 or 55, but now we're seeing men's testosterone drop lower as they get, older, but not 50, like 30. I've seen men 30, 35 whose testosterone starts to dip. But until that dip occurs, you just got testosterone. Like, it doesn't go up and down like a woman's. It's not like that. It's not cyclical. It's not on a 21 or 28 day cycle. It's just testosterone all the time, And so that has a whole lot to do. Like, men don't understand that the hormones has a whole lot to do with a woman's level of emotionality. So that's a part of it. And remember, men and women are different. Let's stop pretending that we're all the same, because we're not. Biology wins every single time. This is what modern day feminist women will never get, that biology wins. They want to believe that all this stuff I'm talking about is a social construct. Oh, it's made up. It was something that was created over time. Nope. It's been like this for thousands of years. Evolutionary psychology wins. Biology wins. Sorry. Okay, so we as women are naturally, biologically, more emotional, more in touch with our emotions. Even the way our brain is, we are more prone to relationships and people and managing people in relationships. The mother can hear her child cry from, farther away than the father. The mother can be woken up out of her sleep. Fathers, not so much. The mothers will have a biological response to her baby crying, right? I'm not making that up. I remember being 2 or 3 rooms, like downstairs, and my daughter would cry and my breasts would respond. My breasts would fill up with milk. My breasts would ache. Like, I can't make this up. Okay, it's biology. Okay. However, this is what I will say. I do believe, even with hormones, even with your cycle and everything that entails, and that's a whole lot. Like, that's a whole lot. I can't even begin to describe to a man what it is to be a woman from a biological perspective, from a hormonal perspective, from a brain perspective, the way we think. Everything is so different. I can't even begin to express that to a man. However, I do believe we as women have plenty of opportunities throughout our life to grow and to mature and to tap into more of our rational mind, more of our thinking mind, and not be completely led by emotions. So when I work with women and they come in and they're highly emotional, highly reactive, right? I'm thinking to myself, okay, I know this is how you're wired. However, I believe that with coaching or with counseling, with therapy, we can train some of that. We can train it to go in a more positive direction. We can learn skills and tools to be less reactive, to manage our emotions better. So that's the one trait. If you have not guessed, the one trait is poor emotional regulation. Poor emotional regulation. Being highly reactive, highly emotionally dysregulated. And I'm not talking about when it's not appropriate. Like if your child is sick or hurt or passes away or someone's coming for your child. Oh, you're going to see me emotionally reactive. like that. And I'm not going to feel bad about that at all. I'm going to make no apologies about coming for somebody who is endangering my children, right? So I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is in situations where, your man says something, right? Your man says something. He uses words. Like, I'm sorry, y'all. I don't consider people's words. I just don't consider that worthy of my violent reaction. I just don't. Now, I've been doing this work for a long time. I have been managing my emotions and my feelings for a long time. I've talked about this at length, about the practice of stoicism, and I've been doing that for a long time. So a person's words, it would have to be in a direct physical threat to, to my well-being for me to possibly, but even then, it's like a person's words is a person's words. And I'm a big believer in, and now this is the generation I come from, and now, you're not allowed to say this no more because people are woke. But the generation I come from is sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. That's the saying that I came up with in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. And what was the other one? I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you. That was the other famous child saying that we said back in my day. And words were nothing to feel bad about. Words were nothing to fight about. That's kind of the generation I was brought up in. So I think that's a part of it. I just come from a generation where words are like, okay, so what, it was when you were going to put your hands on me. It was when you were going to, get physical with me or get physical with someone that I love or, that I'm going to protect. That's when things went south, But words was like, really? This is what you're doing? So I think that's part of, how I'm wired is I come from a very different generation where words are like, whoop-de-doo, so what? Okay, that's how you feel, and that was nothing to get super reactive about. However, this is going to take a level of maturity. So in order to regulate your emotions in a healthy way, you have to be willing to grow and mature as a woman. That's a big part of it. You have to do the ego work. We've talked about that here too. I've done the ego work. I've practiced the philosophy of Stoicism. And so now there's not a whole lot that people could say that's going to get me fired up, because I know who I am. I know what I'm about. And it's just not going to happen. I'm not going to go back and forth with you. I'm not going to defend myself. I am very comfortable with being misunderstood, right? And so I often tell women, yes, these are some of the things you have to adopt. You have to get comfortable with being misunderstood. You have to be very comfortable and know who you are. You have to fully and completely know who you are, and you have to feel very comfortable with not defending that. Like, I don't need to defend my choices. I don't need to defend how I live and why I feel the way I feel. I try to explain, or what's a better word? Not even explain. I try to give information. Like, I just try to give information because I'd like for the person to understand. But if they don't, I'm good. I'm good. Like, I know what I mean. I know what I feel. I know what it is. To me, that's it. That's all I need. I don't need to be perfectly understood by everybody. Like, I'm okay. And you have to get to that point. So you have to be willing to do the ego work. And the ego work is all about, having a better perspective, being more open to other people's perspectives, even the ones that disagree with yours. I ranked very high on openness in the Big Five. So a lot of people say that about me. Well, you're just very open. And you're open to hearing different people's thoughts and opinions, about a lot of different subjects. It may not change. It may not change how I feel about that subject, or it may not change my position, but I'm open, right? I'm open to that. Never thought about it that way. That's one of my favorite expressions when people share something that's totally different than the way I think. I say, that's very interesting. I never considered that, or I've never thought about it that way. See? So that way, that other person feels heard. That other person, I'm not combative. I'm not saying, oh no, you're wrong, I'm right. That is wrong, you are wrong. Like, I don't need to do that, right? I can hold my position without making other people wrong. That's going to take a level of maturity. You've got to be willing to grow. You've got to be willing to be open, and you can still hold your position and be open, but it's going to take a level of maturity to do that. But yes, the lack of emotional regulation, the lack of being able to, and here's the thing a lot of women don't understand. There's two types of emotional dysregulation. So a lot of women immediately think when I say you're emotionally reactive or you're dysregulated, you don't know how to, regulate your emotions, they immediately think about a woman screaming, cursing, yelling, crying, throwing things, hitting the man, just cutting up, right? But there's a second one as well, and that is shutting down. That is just completely shutting down, saying nothing, leaving, running away. I consider that poor emotional regulation. You cannot stay in a conversation and again stay open and listen and wait to say, well, let me give you my perspective. Let me give you how I was thinking about that. Like, if you can't do that either, I consider all of that poor emotional regulation. If you are regularly shutting down, if you're regularly just, sitting there zoning out, waiting for it to be over, or if you're running away, leaving, and again, I'm totally for you taking a break. I've always told couples this. You are allowed to take a break if things are getting heated or you're about to say something you don't mean. Take a break. But you have to announce, I need to take a break. I'm feeling flooded. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm really not able to process any more information coming in, so I need to take a break. But then you're able to return to the conversation, right? You return to the conversation. You return to listen some more or express how you feel about that. That's what should happen. But there's two ways in which women do not properly, in a healthy way, regulate their emotions. One, they go to the far end of, being on 1,000 and screaming and yelling and cursing and all of that. And I'm going to be frank with you all. You completely lose a man's respect when you do that. Like, the man is just like, oh God, you completely lose his respect. He is not open or listening to anything you're saying. Like, it's a completely purposeless thing when you're just going off. Like, nothing is being gained in doing that at all. Okay. But the second one, which is the shutdown, that you shutting down, you not saying anything, you leaving, hanging up the phone, again, nothing is being gained doing that. And you're not going to feel better. I can assure you of that. You're not going to feel better. And if anything, he's going to say, okay, fine. He's going to sweep it under the rug. You're not going to feel better. And let me tell you what's going to happen. It's going to come up again. It's like Groundhog's Day. You're going to go through the same argument over and over and over because of your shutdown. There's no resolution. Nothing, was solved, or you don't feel better. A lot of times you feel worse, and you're just going to keep going through the same cycle over and over and over. It's totally not productive. So, now that you know this, if you want to be in a healthy relationship or marriage with a good masculine man, you have got to learn to regulate your emotions in a healthy way. There is absolutely nothing wrong with your feelings or your emotions or expressing your feelings and your emotions. I'm always telling women this. I can't tell you how many times I have said to a man, I feel really hurt. I feel really frustrated by this. I feel completely ignored. I feel like I'm not a priority. I feel sad. I feel lonely. I mean, I have run the gamut. I have run the gamut on all the thousands of emotion words I have used with men. I do it regularly. I have no problem expressing myself to the man I'm in a relationship with emotions. But I do it in a way that's cool, calm, and collected. I do it in a way where I stay present. I don't need to shut down. I don't need to withdraw within myself. I don't need to abandon myself. I stay with myself, and I try to identify, as soon as the emotions come up, I try to identify, what are you feeling right now? So especially when I feel triggered. So the first thing I say in my head, and sometimes I say it out loud, the guy says or does something and I go, wow, I'm really triggered right now. And that gets his attention, right? And again, I say it cool, calm, and collected. I'm feeling triggered right now. And that gets his attention. What is it I said? What is it I did? And even if he says it with attitude, what is it now? Well, when you just said that, or when you just did that, I felt abandoned. I felt alone. I felt like I wasn't important. Like what I had to say wasn't a priority. I felt belittled. I felt betrayed. I can always say how I feel. This is not a conversation about saying you can't express how you feel. You most definitely can and should. You have to learn how to do it in a way that is effective, in a way that the man can hear. I'm always telling women this, and I put this in my book. Do not communicate from your pain. Communicate from your heart. That is what the man can hear. A healthy man. A healthy man. Now, if he is not, if it's all about him, if he's selfish, if he's broken, if he's wounded, I'm going to be honest with you. He won't hear it. It'll all sound the same. And all the speaking from hurt, speaking from your heart, speaking from whatever, it'll all sound the same to a man who is wounded. Like, he can't differentiate because he's wounded. He himself, is wounded. So he's not going to make any differentiation. That's a topic for another video. But if he loves you, if he has an ounce of healthiness in him, if he cares about you, if he, wants to make you happy, and you express from your heart, he will, trust me, he will hear you. He will finally hear what it is you are saying. And he will feel some kind of way about it, even if he doesn't look like he's expressing it in the moment, but he will. He's like, oh my gosh, oh, she's so sad. She's so hurt. She's so humiliated. She's so betrayed. She's so, fill in the blank, right? And so this is what you want. This is what you want. You want empathy. You want the man to empathize with how you're feeling. And again, if a man can't empathize, if he can't put himself in your shoes, if he can't understand what it is to be hurt or betrayed or belittled or lonely or whatever, again, that's for another video. You have a problem. You have a problem on your hands if you're with a man who cannot empathize. You got a big problem. And, that might not be the person for you. Empathy is a basic human emotion that I believe is required to have a healthy romantic relationship. If the other person cannot empathize, cannot put themselves in your shoes, cannot understand why you're feeling the way you're feeling, you probably don't have any business in that relationship, because empathy is like bare basic, okay? Just like respect and all the other good stuff, okay? So a lot of women I work with, they can at least acknowledge when they're triggered, and that's a good thing. Go inside of yourself and acknowledge when you're triggered. I'm triggered in this moment. The second thing you have to do is, what's the feeling, right? Try to find like, oh my God, I can't believe you just said that, blah, blah, blah. If you're like that, it's not just about what's happening in that moment. It's something that has happened in the past. It's something that's happened in childhood. It's something that's happened probably more often than not. And that's what a trigger is. It is a reminder. Reminder of when else have I felt this way? When else have I felt betrayed? When else have I felt like I'm not enough? When else have I felt unheard, unseen, unloved? When else? See, that's what you got to be brave enough to pinpoint that, because it's happened some other time, maybe with someone else. So it might have happened with your man. Maybe it's you and him been through this dance, but chances are it's also happened with someone else. And you've got to be brave enough to look at that. What's really going on here? Why am I so, yeah, you just got to be willing to do that work. I'm at home now. I'm just going to look. Okay, sorry, y'all. I'm trying to go back to some of the comments. She said all that horrible eating is affecting men, is it? Yeah. Oh, the testosterone, probably. Oh, gosh, probably. The testosterone levels are tanking. Gosh, it's sad. The men's testosterone levels. Okay, there we go. I'm sorry. It paused due to poor connection. I'm guilty of pushing good men off. I'm going to take a season or two just focusing on me. I ignored the red flags. Pray for me. I will be praying for you, because you deserve love. You deserve a good man. And that's the first thing you've got to tell yourself. I deserve a great man. I deserve to be loved. I am lovable. You've got to tell yourself that every single day. And even those of us, which is all of us, that are imperfect, like we're not perfect. We don't have all our ish together. I don't always have my ish together. I got my things that I'm working on. So you deserve a good man, right? But doing that work and getting into that energetic space is going to bring that man to you, okay? You deserve a good man, so don't ever forget that. But for the fellas that are on here, I want you to let me know, is this the one trait a woman with poor emotional regulation. She cannot regulate her mouth. That's the number one thing. Poor emotional regulation. Okay? That's the number one thing. She can't regulate her mouth. She can't regulate her hands. She can't regulate her attitude, her body language. Like, she cannot regulate herself. And this is what turns good men off. It just is a complete and total turn off. Now, here's the opposite side of that coin. When a woman is vulnerable, when a woman's aware, self-aware, right? So like I said, how many times have I been in an argument or disagreement with a man I was dating or in a relationship with? And just the mere fact that I could verbalize, wow, I feel triggered. Like, he found that very attractive. I was just like, wow, I'm feeling really triggered right now. And he's like, well, what? What did I say? What happened? And then I reached in for the feeling. What's the feeling I was feeling? I'm feeling like I'm not a priority. I'm feeling left out. I'm feeling unseen or unheard. I'm feeling like, I'm not good enough, or I'm less than. That was very attractive. Like, every man I've ever been with, they're like, wow. Like, okay. Like, they almost don't even know how to react to it, because that is the healthy way to express your heart to a man. Like, me screaming and yelling and cursing him out and saying, you're the problem. You're the one doing this. You're always doing that. Like, a man cannot hear any of that. Any of that. He cannot hear the blame, the shame. He's the problem. He's always messing up. You're not happy. See, when you're coming to a man from that energy, it's going in one ear and out the other. One ear and out the other. I'm just going to be real. But when you come to a man from the energy of, I feel triggered. These are some of the feelings that I'm feeling right now. They're coming up in me, and I'm feeling, conflicted. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling annoyed. I'm feeling really frustrated. I'm feeling like, just bring that up out of you. A man doesn't even know how to respond, because it's just so high level communication. It's very attractive. And when it's all over, that man is like, wow, I'm the emotionally stunted one in this relationship. Like, he starts to really assess himself. And that's really what you want, ladies. The way I have gotten a man to course correct is not by me telling him about himself, screaming and yelling, you the problem, and this is what you need to do. Nope, he don't leave that conversation going, yeah, I am the problem. That is what I need to do. No. He leaves that conversation like, Anita's a real itch. She always got something to say. She always running her mouth. She always blaming me. And that's how he gonna lead the conversation. Can I be honest? But when you have a different conversation, I feel like this. I feel like that. I'm feeling like I'm just not a priority. I really don't know what my place is in your life. And sometimes, when I feel like I'm put on the back burner and I'm not being considered, like, he's going to leave that conversation going, dang, I'm messing up. I might need to, my priorities are messed up. I might need to rethink. See, that's the effective conversation. The conversation where he checks himself. I don't check men. I don't. And women, every time I say this, they're like, you don't? Like, you don't tell him about himself? No. I use the very effective emotion of guilt. I use guilt. Guilt can be a very effective emotion. If a man has mistreated me or done me wrong or talked to me any kind of way or mishandled me, I use guilt. I express how I feel. I become vulnerable. I'm just like, I don't feel safe. I don't know if it's safe here with you. And when that conversation is over, that man is somewhere going, oh man, I messed up. I think I messed up. I'm blowing it. Anita's such a great woman. Like, what am I doing? See, that's where real change can occur with a man. And this is the skill, ladies. This is the skill I wish I could download inside of every woman, because it would change your relationships. It would change your life. And you don't have to just use this with the men that you're dating. You can use this with your friends. You can use this with your family. I use it with my kids. I use it with everybody, because I want that person to self-reflect. They need to leave this interaction and self-reflect. Anita's really hurt. Anita's feeling very lonely. See that? And what can I do? How can I fix this? What can I say? How can I reprioritize? See, that is where the real work is happening. But if you're just blaming and shaming, if you're just like, you're the problem, you're like this, you're always doing that, and you did that. See, he leaving that conversation like, man, she's a real itch. Like, I'm sick of her mess. Oh my God, I'm so sick of Anita's mouth. Like, that's what's happening. There's no self-reflection at all. At all. And then guess what's going to happen? Y'all going to repeat the cycle over and over and over. So ladies, you absolutely have the power to change this dynamic with just you. Just you can change this dynamic. I have changed the dynamic of my relationships by myself, by just changing how I respond and react, by applying stoicism, by keeping my mouth closed. There were plenty of times where it was just keeping my mouth closed. Like, I don't have to say everything I want to say. I'm always allowed to express how I feel. Right? But if it's not that, if it's let me tell you about yourself, let me tell you why you the problem, let me tell you, like, no, because it's actually completely ineffective. Completely ineffective. The way I have built empathy into my children was by expressing to them how their actions made me feel, and how hurt I was, how worried I was, how concerned I was. How, whatever feeling word I use, devastated, whatever word I use, right? That is how you do it. But if you go into that conversation hot, or you get triggered and you just pop off, or you shut down and you're not saying anything else. Oh, I'm going into another room. Oh, I'm going in my car, or going for a drive. I'm just leaving, right? I'm just totally shut down. Anything you're saying is not getting through. Okay, and the man he's gonna sweep it under the rug, and it'll just come out later. It'll just come out later. You'll keep having the same argument over and over and over. I don't know about y'all, but I don't like that. Like, I don't get off on having the same argument over and over and over. Everybody know I'm quick to leave a situation alone. Like, I don't like dysfunction. I don't like dysfunction. I don't like toxic stuff. I just don't. I have zero tolerance for it. I don't know if it's my age. I don't know if it's my temperament. Like, I like to have fun. I like to laugh. I like to have fun. I like to have a life of ease, and that's just me. I don't like a whole lot of foolishness, right? And even sometimes with some of the folks I work with, if we've been working together for a while and I'm not seeing any change, no growth, no progression, I'm like, you know what? Like, you need to find somebody else. Because, see, I'm not wired for that. I'm not wired to listen to the same foolishness day in and day out for years. I'm not wired for it. I recognize it. I can't do it. I've told many a counseling client or a coaching client, you know what? I may not be the best fit for you. You may need someone else. You may need a set of fresh eyes and fresh ears on this. And a lot of it's, I'm not wired to do that. Like, I get that every single one of us, right? I meet everybody where they are. I really do. That's my heart. My heart is in meeting you where you are. However, I'm a human being too. And one thing I know about human nature, at least for me, I like to see progress. I like to see growth. I like to see people change and grow and mature and get better. And it's maddening to see people stay in these states of just, the dysfunction for years and years and years. I'm not talking about months. Like I said, I know that change is a process, right? But when I don't see people making effort when I don't see them applying the skills that they're being taught, when I don't see them trying, that's when I'm like, you know what? I may not be the right person for you, and I need to refer you to someone else, or, I'm going to suggest this. Yeah, because I know that about myself. I'm just not wired to be able to withstand a lot of dysfunction for a long, long, long period of time. I'm just not. And I don't do it in my personal life. I don't even do it in business. If I see things going south, if I see that there's no change and no progress over a period of time, I'm like, you know what? This is maddening. Like, this is maddening for me. And then I'm not effective. I'm not effective as a guide in therapy or in coaching. I'm not the expert. Little do people know, I am not the expert. You are. When I'm working with you, you're the expert. I am simply a guide. I am simply someone that's leading and guiding you in the direction of healthy, happy, whole, being your best self. That's it. But you are the expert. I am working with you. You're the expert. So for those of you who've never been in coaching or counseling, just understand that. We are not the experts. You are the expert. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to tease things out of you. I'm going to make suggestions. I'm going to teach you certain tools and tips and tricks so that you can apply those things and you can see growth. You can see progress. You can see relationships get better. You can see you get better. I remember when, oh my gosh, there was this girl at a job, and this was years ago. This was like 20 years ago. My kids, it was very long time ago. I want to say my kids were babies. And I was working this part-time job, like maybe 15 hours a week. It wasn't much. And there was a girl at the job who just hated me. She just hated me. I don't know why. I didn't care. But she, would just be real petty. She would be real petty about stupid stuff. And so one day she got herself all worked up and she got mad about something that I had set up. I had set up at work just to make things more efficient. And I'd said, oh yeah, this is a great little system. We should try it. It'll make things more efficient. She flew off the handle. She started cussing and yelling. Then she wanted to fight me, y'all. She wanted to fight me over this. I stood there like, what is wrong with you? Like, what? Do you need a hug? Are you wounded? Like, what is happening with you? Are you on a trauma response? Like, I really did. I just said, you're having a trauma response right now. Like, I was just as cool, calm, and collected. And that girl just went off and this and that. And so all these people were like trying to hold her back off of me. I wasn't going nowhere. I was standing right there. I was like, you're having a trauma response to something. And, how can I help you? How can I help you in this moment? Like, I was just talking calm and she was just going off. And so 2 days later, she got sent home. And then 2 days later, I guess the supervisor wanted her to apologize to me. And so she came and called herself apologizing. And guess what I said? I said, you don't have to apologize. And she just bust out crying. I was like, you don't have to apologize. I said, but clearly something's going on. Something, and it's not about me. Something's going on inside of you and it's not about me. But yeah, I was like, no, you got something, there's something else going on inside of you. But I don't meet people. I don't meet aggression with aggression. I really don't. If I can try to talk you off the ledge, I try. And I mean, if I have to defend myself, I will. But I'm never going to go there. I'm just never going to go there with you because I just ain't about that life. Like, I'm not about that life. So, but yeah, that's when I knew. I remember I went home that night and I was like, man, this ego work is working. Like, I'm really feeling good. I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling calm. I'm feeling like I'm in complete control over myself. Even when I can't control others, I always have the ability to control myself. And I remember feeling so good and I just kept going. That was 20 years ago. I just kept going on this journey because I wanted to master this. I was like, no more am I going to let outside influences, outside sources control me. To me, that's weak. That's a weak-minded person. That somebody could say something to you and you going to rise up on them. You're going to just go off. You're a weak-minded person. And that's something I never wanted to be. I never want to be a weak-minded person. I'm a strong person by nature and I want to continue to be strong. So I'm on a mission to be strong mentally and emotionally, right? And not so strong that I cannot be vulnerable. Because to me, vulnerability is part of that strength. That's part of the strength I have as a woman, is learning how to be vulnerable, right? Appropriately vulnerable with the right people. And if I'm vulnerable with someone and they can't handle it, or they make fun of my vulnerabilities, or they, poke fun at me, that's not my person. I need to know that sooner rather than later. Like, I'm not sticking around for that. But that happened 20 years ago, and I had just started my journey. And now I'm far in this game. Like, it's not much that anybody can say to get me out of myself. That doesn't exist. That don't happen. It just doesn't. I either remove myself from the situation. I say, you know what? I need to take a break. I need to take a break from this conversation, or I'm going upstairs to just take a break. I'm perfectly willing to come back in about an hour. We can pick this conversation back up again. I do that a lot with my children, because there we go. Sorry, y'all. My children are the last frontier in my ego journey and my emotional regulation journey, because they do push those buttons. But I'll just say, you know what? I'm going upstairs to my studio. I'll be back in about 30 minutes. Can we just put a pin in this? And that allows me to calm down, and then I can come back. And every single time I do that, my kids have calmed down. They've found some way to like soothe themselves or calm down, and then I'm definitely calm, and then we have that conversation again. But the need to feel like you need to be understood, you need to defend yourself, like, these are all ego responses. You are deeply in your ego when you're doing that. And so you've got to train that. You've got to train the ego to say, it's okay. It's okay. They don't understand. They may never understand, and that's okay. You get it. You get it. That is all that matters, is you know what you mean. You know what you meant. You know what your intention was. And that's it. You gotta train it. You gotta be willing to train it. But this is the one thing, ladies, that 99% of healthy men, they've told me, like, I can't do the drama. I cannot do the screaming and the yelling and the cussing and the throwing things. I can't. I just cannot do it. Or the shutting down and the running away and the just not talking. They just can't do it. They cannot do it. And so you get this under control. You start mastering this. Oh my gosh, you're going to stand out like a sore thumb. You're going to be, a very high quality, high value woman, because this is such a unique quality in a woman. A woman who can think rationally, a woman who doesn't base every single point on her emotions, right? There is a time and a place to trust your heart, to trust your instinct, but there's also a time and a place to say, that just don't make no sense. Like, that just don't make no sense. That don't rationally or logically make any sense. Like, there's going to be a time and a place for that. Every argument can't be made emotionally based on how we feel. So here's a good example. There are a lot of women who don't like their feelings rise up. They don't like when I say, as you get older, right? As you get older, it doesn't mean you're any less valuable. It doesn't mean you're any less beautiful or any less sexy. However, the men, the marketplace, the dating marketplace, and the landscape will change. It will change, point blank, period. Your options will change, point blank, period. But because they don't like it, because they feel like, oh, I'm throwing stones, and they get triggered, and they think it's a scare tactic. These are all the things that I hear from women. Why are you trying to scare people? Why are you trying to... Okay. So all the research that I've done, all the numbers that I've seen, all the studies that have said this, like, okay, just throw all that out, because your feelings say that I'm wrong. Your feelings say, well, that's not going to be true for me, and that's not true. Okay, so forget all the logical, rational, okay, all right. But that's what I mean. Like, you let your feelings, you let your emotion get in the way of research, of studies that people have done, just because you don't like it. Sorry. It's because you don't like it is called, so what? Like, take your emotions out of it and just say, okay, wow, there's several studies that have talked about this, and yeah, this is like a thing. So, I might want to, and this is why I'm always telling younger women, I need you to prioritize marriage and family if that's something you want to do. Just prioritize it. And I did another live on this where I said, hey, if you are in college, you got the cream of the crop. If you in college, if you in grad school, if you in dental school, if you in medical school, if you in law school, and there's other men there, you got the cream of the crop. Okay? So I would rather, choose a man from those environments than I'm long out of those environments, and then I get out here in the world where everybody is, right? So you got a little bit of everything out here, and then I gotta wade through that and pick someone out of that. I'm just saying, again, you don't have to like it, but it is what it is. So that's exactly what I did. I made sure to choose a man when I was in that age range and in that environment of undergraduate, graduate, medical school. That's what I did. I said, you know what? This dude is in medical school, okay? It don't get no better than that. So let me go ahead and snap up this husband while we in this age range, while he's in medical school and about to do something real with his life. You know, let me assess this person and okay, yeah. I'm just saying, if you between 20 and 30 and you think you ever want to get married or have children, please just be open enough to consider what I'm saying. Because here's the bad news. It's just like whether people believe in God or not, right? People are always telling me, oh, well, Anita, you doing all of this and you being obedient and you living a certain way because you believe in a God. But what if when you die, there is no God? Okay, but you know what? I've lived a very good life. I've had a lot of amazing experiences. I've saved myself a lot of heartache and a lot of pain. I've lived a very good life, a very prosperous, wonderful, amazing life, right? So if there is no God at the end, I really haven't lost out on anything because I've really enjoyed my life. But on the flip side, if I get there and there is a God and I have acted like a plumb fool, I have done people wrong, I have lived a life that was horrible, I've made horrible decisions, I've just, done all this crazy stuff, and guess what? There happens to be a God at the end of the life, and I'm like, uh-oh, and you can't go back. What you gonna do? What you gonna say? Ladies, the same applies for you, okay? Let your behind get 40, okay? And you go, ooh, Anita was right. Like, oh, there's a time limit on my fertility. I'm just out here waiting, out here with all these men that really ain't about much of nothing. Like, I'm not around a bunch of college educated potential doctors, lawyers, dentists, CPAs. You gonna be out of luck. Okay? So I'm just saying, right? Consider it. Because once you get to 35 or 40, there is no going back. There is no going back. And again, I'm telling you this not because I hate you, not because I don't want you to win. I have no skin in the game of your life. I'm telling you this because I'm older and wiser and I've lived it. That's why I'm telling you this. I want you to win. I want you to win. I want you to have what you want. So take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. Yeah, she said that's what other races do, choose from universities. And they're brilliant. But see, you all have to be open enough to say, you know what? They may know something. Like, the white folks may know something. They getting married young. They choosing husbands while they in college and graduate school. They might know something. And they do. They're not wrong. Now, that's where I came from. And there were plenty of black women, in Atlanta that were doing exactly what I did. That's what I come from. Which is, Anita, this is the cream of the crop. Okay, you better pick somebody, between these years and these years, while you have access to these people that are actually doing something to create a good life. That's what I come from. Woo, no, So I'm just saying, she says, I still have faith that I will get a good man. That's right. And you always do, regardless of your age, regardless of whatever's going on in your life. This is not about scaring you. This is not about, oh, I'm trying to, put you down if you are 35. No. But if that's the case, everything has to shift. Everything has to shift now. You don't have the same, what's the word I'm looking for? You just cannot move the same. Everything has to shift. Your mindset has to shift. My mindset has shifted. At 54, and I want to get remarried, my mindset is totally different. I do not entertain men that do not want to get married. And I find that out straight out of the gate. I have no shame in my game. If you are not interested in getting married or remarried, next. I don't even talk on the phone. I'm not friends. Why? We don't have anything in common. That's one of my primary goals, is to be a wife again one day. And when you entertain men that don't want that, you are diluting that energy. So where that energy was once strong and proud, when you start accepting men that don't want to get married and accepting men that, oh, I've already been married and divorced, I won't do that again. See, you're sending out mixed messages. You're sending out diluted energy, and you wonder why you can't find a husband, because you're entertaining all these men who don't want to be a husband. That's the energy you're sending. Yeah, God, send me a whole lot of men that don't want to get married. I'll give them a shot. I'll entertain them. No, I won't. So, your message has to be long and strong and proud. And it all has to go in the same direction. Everything about me goes in the same direction. I'm on the same page all the time. And just like dealing with, men who are not masculine, I do not engage with non-masculine men. I do not engage with men that don't take initiative. I do not give my number and call men who don't call me. This is what you gotta be on. But see, it's women that either can't wait, they're not patient, they're desperate, they're like, I'll just take anything, or this is a huge excuse I have. And I keep telling women, stop saying that. This is what women say. Well, I'll just do this until. And they don't even realize energetically you're ruined. You've destroyed your opportunity to find a husband. Because while you're messing around until, again, you're sending out the energy that, you know what, this is good enough. This is good enough. So the real man can't even come into your life because there's no room. You're too busy messing around with this guy and that guy who don't want to get married, ain't about nothing. But see, that's where your energy, what does it say? Where your attention goes, energy flows. You giving him your attention, and that's what it is. So y'all, this is a long game. This is a long game, and I made a YouTube video about this. The problem in our modern day society is people want it now. They want what they want now. They don't want to do the hard thing so they can have, what they need later. They want what they want now. I want to go out on a date now. I want to, be entertained by a man now. And I want to have a man on my arm or in my bed now. Forget the fact that 5 years from now or a year from now, he ain't acting right. He not marrying you. Forget that. Oh, well, today he's coming over. Today we're going to do something. No, I'm in this for the long game. And I only do things that are going to lead to my long-term satisfaction. And I want to encourage you to do that too. I know it's a tough sell. I can't tell you how many times people have told me, Anita, people are not going to do that. They're not going to do that. Okay. I got to try. I am purpose to try. So, all right. But emotional regulation, ladies, if you're coming in on the end of this live, I'm getting ready to save it. I want you to watch it from the beginning. You have to learn the skills to regulate yourself emotionally. And I get it. I'm so empathetic because, like I said, I am a woman. I understand there's a hormonal piece that it almost feels like you can't help it. Like, I get into this PMS state. I can't help it. I feel very sensitive. I feel like crying. I get it. And I want to honor that. I want to honor that. But I also want to We're not going to use that as an excuse. We're going to use that as an explanation, and we're going to work really hard on the skills and the tools that you need to be practicing so you can have a better handle on that. That's all I ask. But I get it. I get it. I'm so empathetic. I truly understand what a lot of women are going through when they're dealing with their hormones. I get it. Okay? All right. Good talk. If you're coming in on the end, please check out the replay. Thank you so much. And I have the biggest favor ever. Please, please, please head over to YouTube and subscribe to the channel. I am trying to get monetized this year. And so I'm about, I think, 200 people away, or less than 200 people away from 1,000 subscribers. And I'm trying to get monetized. And I am going to be shifting a lot of my content and my lives over to YouTube. I'm actually going to do an entire codependency series over on YouTube. So if you want help with that, if you want help with people pleasing and approval seeking and learning all the skills and the tools to heal that part of yourself, you want to be on YouTube. We're going to do a whole series about that within the coming weeks on YouTube. So head over there, subscribe. Thank you so much. I love all of you all so much. I want the best for you. Trust me, believe me when I tell you. Have a beautiful rest of your day. And as always, stay open to love.